Ladies and gentlemen, we are expecting our guests of honor very soon. Kindly be seated. Those who are outside the hall, please come inside and take your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have everyone to rise as we welcome the arrival of our esteemed guest of honor, the Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari, bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Please remain standing to sing the national anthem Negaraku, followed by Sarawak anthem Ibu Pertiwiku. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly be seated. Good morning. The Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari, bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak, Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Datuk Amar Haji Muhammad Asfia bin Awang Nasar, Yang Di-Pertua Speaker Sarawak State Legislative Assembly, Yang Berhormat Datuk Amar Haji Muhammad Abu Bakar bin Marzuki, Sarawak State Secretary, Yang Berhormat Datuk Murshid Diraja Dr. Juanda Jaya, Deputy Minister in the Premier's Department, Yang Berbahagia Emeritus Professor Datuk Abang Abdullah Abang Ali, Chairman, Malaysian Research and Education Foundation. Yang berbahagia, Datuk Sri Muhammad Abdullah bin Haji Zaidil, President, Institute of Management Sarawak. Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Sulong bin Majirai, Chairman, University Malaysia Sarawak. Distinguished guests, speakers, local and international delegates, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Contemporary Leadership International Summit, Clis 2025, a platform where visionaries, strategies, and change makers converge to shape the future of leadership. My name is Franz, and it is my absolute honor to be your host for this prestigious summit, proudly organized by MyREF, a strategic program by Malaysian Research and Education Foundation, Institute of Management Sarawak, MASA, co-organized by University of Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS, Malaysian Society for Engineering and Technology, MySET, and HIKMAH Sarawak. Leadership today is evolving, requiring agility, innovation, and a commitment to progress. Over the course of this summit, we will delve into insightful discussions, groundbreaking ideas, and transformative strategies that redefine leadership in the contemporary world. Before we begin, allow me to extend our heartfelt appreciation to the Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak, for gracing this event with his presence. Furthermore, we kindly request that all mobile devices be set to silent mode to ensure a smooth and uninterrupted session. With that, let us set the stage for an inspiring and impactful summit ahead. Once again, welcome to Clis 2025. To begin this momentous occasion, we invite Al-Fadhil Ustaz Haji Muhammad Ihsan bin Haji Aitzir, Deputy Grand Imam of Sarawak, to lead us in a prayer recital.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمد الشاكرين حمد الحامدين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Allahumma ya Allah, the most gracious and the most benevolent, we seek your guidance, mercy and blessings as we gather here today for the officiation of the Contemporary Leadership International Summit 2025 by the Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. We humbly turn to you, O Allah, in gratitude for the opportunity to convene in this esteemed assembly where leaders, scholars, and visionaries unite to foster wisdom, integrity, and excellence in leadership. Allahumma ya Allah ya Rahman ya Rahim, we beseech you to bless this international summit, making it a source of enlightenment, progress, and positive transformation. Instill in our hearts sincerity and steadfastness in our pursuit of leadership that is just, compassionate, and rooted in strong ethical values. Grant us the wisdom to lead with humility, fairness, and a commitment to serving the greater good. O Allah, we pray for the success of this summit, that it may serve as a beacon of knowledge and collaboration, fostering leadership excellence for the betterment of our communities and nations. May this platform inspire meaningful discourse, fruitful partnerships, and transformative leadership in addressing the challenges of our time. O Allah, bless our distinguished officiator, Premier of Sarawak, as well as all our esteemed guests, speakers, and participants. Bestow upon them strength, wisdom, and clarity in their endeavors to shape a future that upholds justice, innovation, and unity. Guide them in making impactful contributions to society and inspire them to lead with integrity and foresight. Allahumma ya Allah, bless our state, our nation, our leaders, and our people with peace, harmony, and prosperity. Grant us the ability to work together in unity and wisdom, ensuring that our collective efforts bring forth a future that is just, progressive, and filled with your divine guidance. With humility and sincerity, we place our trust in you, O Allah. Accept our prayers, forgive our shortcomings, and grant us success in this world and the hereafter. اللهم بك نستعين وعليك نتوكل وأنت رب العرش العظيم ارحمنا يا ربنا فإنك أنت أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you to Ustaz Haji Muhammad Ehsan for leading the prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, to officially welcome us to Clis 2025, it is my pleasure to invite Emeritus Professor Datuk Abang Abdullah Abang Ali, Chairman of Malaysian Research and Education Foundation, MyREF, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Please give him a round of applause.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang amat berhormat Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Yang berhormat Tan Sri Datuk Ahmad Haji Muhammad Asfia bin Awan Nasar, Yang di-Petua Sarawak State Legislative Assembly. Yang berhormat Datuk Amar Haji Muhammad Abu Bakar bin Mazuki, Sarawak State Secretary. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Amar Haji Abdul Aziz Hussein, Yang di-Petua HIKMAH. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Sulung bin Majrai, Chairman University Malaysia Sarawak, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all to our Contemporary Leadership International Summit 2025, a small initiative to provide a platform to share, discuss, and promote the concept and practice of contemporary leadership which we have developed. I hope you enjoy the presentation and deliberation during these 2 days and contribute to the success of the summit and its follow-up programs. My personal apology for the rather cramped environment we are in today. Over 1,000, in fact 1,200 have registered for the summit, and we had to stop the registration at 1,200. This massive turnout bodes well for the importance of our initiative. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the original idea to study and promote a new leadership initiative came from none other than the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak himself. For the foreign guests, he's fondly referred to as Abang in the state of Sarawak. But I must admit, at first, I personally consider it as a very tall order from him, considering leadership is a much talked about concept, and that there have been many earlier initiatives to provide leadership education and training in Sarawak, as well as all over the world. However, on studying issues related to leadership, our research team discovered that there is a real and urgent need to further study and develop a new approach to leadership. So, hats off to our Premier for his great foresight. The new approach, which we now call contemporary leadership, is indeed a modern concept, but interlaced with good universal principles and values that are prerequisites to producing knowledgeable and skilled, as well as trustworthy and inclusive leaders, and to ensure that they perform well in a multicultural and ever-evolving global ecosystem. They must excel in the midst of leadership catastrophe today, exhibited by world leaders who lack competency, trust, and indeed even humanity. This Contemporary Leadership International Summit 2025 is a small initiative to share the new leadership concept and to show the world that we can make a change. From some 15 common leadership styles, ranging from autocratic and charismatic to transformational, servant, and participative that we have studied, our contemporary leadership may be the answer to the world's leadership predicament today. And we intend to further develop the new leadership approach through active research and development. In a highly competitive workplace environment, leaders need special education and training and need to learn to adapt to changing ecosystems. Unlike most management and leadership training which appear to be one-off. The education and training that we provide shall be continuous and holistic. Coaching and mentorship shall be the norm in our education and training programs. Before this leadership summit, and we were advised to start small, we started with a leadership webinar series a few months ago, a session essentially to test the waters. But during this international summit, there will be a good number of speakers from Malaysia, as well as overseas, starting from Dr. Basil Mustafa from Oxford University and Dr. Tengku Azman, who's the science advisor to the Prime Minister and also the President of the Academy of Sciences, Malaysia. Senator Fatima Payman from Australia is unable to join us today because she is in the Parliament, but we shall see and hear her in a short while expressing her views and to show support to our summit. And later today, also not able to join us, Sonny Bill Williams, the people in sports will know him, shall address us all the way from New Zealand. And we have also with us Professor Joel Howard in the crowd somewhere, who heads a leadership academy in Turkey, and he was formerly the Royal Air Force College Dean in the UK. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a contemporary leadership institute is being established, and an advisory committee meeting shall be held towards the end of the summit to seek advice from selected summit speakers from Malaysia and overseas on plans for further activities, including on research and development and education and training on contemporary leadership. The meeting shall be chaired by Dr. Basil Mustafa from Oxford University, who researched values-based leadership, and the advisory meeting shall study and discuss a proposed strategic plan for our Leadership Institute, which we have prepared and ready to present to the advisory committee. Today, we are also launching a 3-month online professional certificate course on contemporary leadership with a 1-week residential and convocation in the UK for the inaugural batch of our next-gen leaders. In collaboration with Markfield Institute of Higher Education, UK, Markfield Director, Dr. Zahid Pravitz, in the crowd, is with us now, and he will be helping us in this venture. We plan to offer this professional certificate course twice annually, starting in April after Ramadan, with possible graduation in July this year. We are also planning to offer a fully residential 1-month program in Markfield in the future to enable participants to have unique leadership learning experience in a UK campus, notwithstanding the unpredictable British weather. And during this summit, we shall host a 1-week value management course and on to this summit. For those who wish to qualify as value management specialists registered with the American Safe International, to be conducted by Engineer Abdul Aziz Yusufi Saran, who is the president of the American Safe International Gulf chapter. He has flown from Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to be with us today. In collaboration with local researchers and from overseas, we shall keep on studying the need for education and training in the state through our research and development efforts, and craft unique leadership training program for the different levels and strata of the society, acknowledging that no single training can fit all. Most importantly, we wish to address the need for nurturing leaders amongst the youth today. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I would like to end by expressing my deepest gratitude to the Premier of Sarawak for his strong support, particularly his very generous financial contribution to the summit today. Thank you very much. Locally, in the Malay language, we say, terima kasih Daun Keladi, kalau boleh bagi lagi. And to the speakers and participants who agree to share their knowledge and experiences, and to all who have worked very hard to make this summit a success, especially to our colleagues from MASA, MyREF, UNIMAS, MySET, and HIKMAH, led by Khairuddin, Daing Afiza, and Murali, and not forgetting the volunteers in our midst. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your strong support and agreeing to be a partner in this contemporary leadership journey to create a prosperous, just, and caring world for all. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Datuk Abang Abdullah, for your inspiring words and for spearheading this incredible initiative. Next, we have the privilege of hearing a special message from a distinguished leader, Senator Fatima Payman, Senator for Western Australia, in this video.
Hello everyone, I'm Senator Fatima Payman, Australia's Voice Senator for Western Australia, and it's an honour to be part of the Contemporary Leadership International Summit 2025 in Malaysia. Although I can't be with you in person due to my commitments in Parliament, I'm thrilled to connect with you through this message. Leadership in today's world is more dynamic and multifaceted than ever. As we navigate complex global challenges, it is vital that we inspire and equip young leaders to rise to these occasions with confidence, resilience, and a deep commitment to creating a meaningful impact. In my journey as a leader, I've learned that the foundation of impactful leadership lies in staying true to one's values while being open to learning and growth. For young leaders, this means embracing authenticity, fostering inclusivity, and never underestimating the power of collaboration. Remaining steadfast and holding on to your principles is essential in leadership. These values serve as a moral compass, guiding your decisions and actions, especially during challenging times. Whether it's through faith, culture, or beliefs, they help provide strength, clarity, and a sense of purpose, helping you remain grounded and resilient as you lead others. To all the emerging leaders here today, remember, leadership is not about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions and being willing to listen. It's about building bridges and forging pathways for others to follow. Leadership, particularly in the political sphere, comes with its fair share of challenges. There will be moments of doubt, criticism, and setbacks. Overcoming these challenges requires perseverance, adaptability, and a strong support network. It's crucial to remain focused on your mission and not to be discouraged by obstacles. Each challenge is an opportunity to grow, learn, and become a more effective leader. Our diverse and interconnected world calls for leaders who not only understand but also celebrate our multiracial and multi-religious communities. It's through the celebration of diversity that we can create spaces where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. As we look towards the future, let's commit to fostering a leadership culture that empowers everyone to contribute their best. Let's nurture the potential within ourselves and others, turning aspirations into action and dreams into reality. So take care, everyone, and best wishes for a successful summit.
We thank you, Senator Fatima Payman, for your valuable insights. Now we are honored to have with us a visionary leader, a statesman who has championed innovation and sustainable growth for Sarawak. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage the Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari, Bintun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, to deliver his launching address. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Premier of Sarawak.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi. Salam sejahtera. Salam Sarawak maju dan makmur. Salam segulai sejalai. Yang berhormat Tan Sri Datuk Amar Asfia Wang Nasa, Speaker Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Yang berhormat Saudara Datuk Amal Abu Bakar, Setiausaha Kerajaan Sarawak. Yang berhormat Timbalan Menteri. Yang berbahagia Emeritus Profesor Datuk Abdullah Abang Ali, Chairman Malaysian Research and Education Foundation. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Amar Datuk Haji Abdul Aziz bin Datuk Haji Hussein yang di-Pertua HIKMAH. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Seri Panglima Sulong bin Majerai, Pengerusi Universiti Malaysia Sarawak, khususnya Dev kenamaan, para pembentang kertas kerja, partisipan, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang saya hormati sekalian. Pertama sekali saya mengucap setinggi penghargaan dan terima kasih kepada pihak penganjur, MyREF, HIKMAH dan MASA dan rakan-rakan yang lain kerana menjemput saya pagi ini dan memberi saya penghormatan untuk berkongsi pandangan dengan kepimpinan dan juga kesan kepimpinan kepada hala tuju pembangunan negara, negeri dan juga masyarakat. Saya mengambil kesempatan ini untuk ucap tahniah dan syabas kepada pihak yang bertanggungjawab kena dapat menjayakan seminar yang pada saya sangat penting, dan juga kepada tuan-tuan yang telah membanjiri hotel ini dalam seminar yang kita adakan. Ladies and gentlemen, of course I extend a warm welcome to our foreign guests and speakers. And indeed, your time here will be both enriching and memorable as you immerse yourself in our diverse culture and breathtaking natural landscape in the land of hornbills. Indeed, it is truly an honor to stand before your esteemed guests, audience of participants from across the world who have gathered here to support the issue of Contemporary Leadership International Summit 2025, and your presence reflect a shared commitment to advancing the principles of good and forward-thinking leadership. I also would like to extend my congratulations to all those who have come over here to participate, and of course to the leaders, speakers. Thank you very much. A special note of appreciation goes to our sponsors, such as Petros, our Bank Islam Malaysia, and your contribution underscores the importance of investing in leadership excellence for the betterment of the society. Of course, the excellent leadership in your organization. Leadership is across the board and across the society. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's rapidly evolving global landscape, the demand for leaders who embody strategic foresight, trustworthiness, and inclusivity has never been more critical. Recent international events underscore the consequences of leadership deficits in these areas. Turning to Sarawak, we need and we have witnessed the transformative power of such leadership. Under our administration, for the past 7 years, actually we have doubled our Sarawak's revenue. When we took over the administration in 2017, Sarawak's revenue is roughly about 6 billion ringgit. And last year, we managed to increase it to 14.2 billion ringgit. And this reflects hard work and perseverance in the light of economic challenges and also circumstances, especially after COVID-19. Though the increase is double, slightly double, we have set our target too, that by the year 2030, our total GDP should meet about 280 billion ringgit. But then again, the figure in 2023, business is not usual. We managed to achieve 142 billion ringgit within the space of 3 years under 2030. I believe with the right commitment, with the right direction, and with the right human resource, full with integrity, and our embracing process of new technology against our resources, I believe we can achieve the target of 2030 with GDP 280 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, our commitment to equitable development is evident in initiatives like the establishment in Sarawak perspective, establishment of development agencies across 12 strategic areas, ensuring that all regions benefit from progress, and providing free tertiary education to all Sarawakian students studying in local institutions of higher learning from 2026 will empower Sarawakian to grasp the new technology and the new economy. This achievement underscores the effectiveness of leadership that prioritizes strategic vision, trust, and inclusivity. However, as the global landscape continues to evolve, so too must our approach to leadership. The challenges we face today demand a new paradigm, one that only addresses current issues, but also anticipates future complexities. Today, we have no certainty. The situation is almost, you cannot predict what will happen. Suddenly, somebody withdraw from WHO. That will undermine the human aspect of helping people. Once you withdraw that, there is no feeling of humanity. People who need medical care. People who want to have research on new diseases that have to be solved. So the circumstances have changed. Not only withdrawing from WHO, it seems that they don't acknowledge the issue of climate change. They don't acknowledge Paris Agreement. While we are facing floods, national catastrophe. In January, our temperature, the hottest record, increase of 1.75 Celsius above industrial level. Though Paris Agreement say the threshold is 1.5. Bintulu, we got the biggest flood. The rainfall one day, 900 millimeters. Never in the history of Bintulu. But then that is the result of climate change issues. Ladies and gentlemen, leadership today must evolve. Traditional models rooted in hierarchy and authority often lack adaptability. While modern leadership, though flexible, sometimes compromises on ethics and long-term vision. This is where contemporary leadership emerges, not just an alternative, but as a necessity. The concept of contemporary leadership is built on three fundamental pillars, that is, strategic foresight, trustworthiness, and inclusivity. These elements are not merely leadership qualities, nor an abstract ideal, but essential competencies for navigating to these challenges and practical traits that distinguish great leaders from those who struggle to adapt. A leader must possess, to my mind, strategic foresight, an ability to anticipate challenges, seize opportunities, and align action with long-term objectives. The rapid advancement of artificial intelligence and digital disruption prove that leadership must be future-focused, ensuring sustainability and resilience. In Sarawak, our strategic vision has driven economic growth and digital transformation, placing the state ahead in innovation and sustainability. Leaders with foresight align their actions with long-term objectives while remaining agile in unpredictable world. Equally critical is trustworthiness, the foundation upon which all leadership stands. Around the world, public confidence in leadership is eroding, a result of inconsistent governance and ethical compromises. Trust cannot be demanded. It must be earned through accountability, transparency, and ethical responsibility. We have seen over a period how transparent governance fosters investor confidence, ensures economic stability, and strengthens public trust. A leader's legacy is not measured by his or her time in office, but by the trust he or she leaves behind. And finally, inclusivity must be at the heart of leadership. A leader's success is not defined by personal achievements, but by how many others they empower. The world's challenges today, whether economic inequality, climate change, or technological shift, require leadership that is collaborative, participatory, and representative of all voices or communities. I am proud to see that we have demonstrated this element through inclusive policies that ensure economic and infrastructural development which reaches every corner of Sarawak, proving that leadership must serve all, not just serving a selected few. And we have the three pillars in our PCDS 2019, that is economic prosperity, social inclusivity, and environmental sustainability. And these three pillars become the cornerstone and foundation of Sarawak's development towards 2030 and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is changing and leadership practices must change with it. A leader without strategic foresight will be blindsided by disruption. A leader without trustworthiness will lose the confidence of those they serve. A leader without inclusivity will lead in isolation, disconnected from the realities of the people at large. To ensure these principles take root, we must institutionalize them, nurture future leaders, especially from amongst the next generation, and create a structured pathway for leadership development. And we have to act now for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the need for a leadership institute to institutionalize contemporary leadership. To me, great leaders are not born. They are nurtured, developed, and equipped with the right knowledge, skills, and values. Leadership excellence does not happen overnight. It requires structured training, continuous learning and mentoring, and inculcation of a strong foundation in good universal principles. If contemporary leadership is the answer to today's leadership challenges, then we must ensure that it is not just an idea, but a structured and institutionalized practice. Leadership excellence cannot be left to chance. Leaders, to me, must be nurtured, trained, mentored, and equipped with the principles of strategic foresight, trustworthiness, and inclusivity. And this requires a sustained effort of a dedicated institution. The Leadership Institute we envision will be a center for leadership transformation, ensuring that future leaders are not only capable, but also ethical and visionary. Strategic foresight will be at the core of its programs, training leaders to anticipate challenges and navigate uncertainty with confidence. Trustworthiness will be embedded in its leadership frameworks, ensuring that ethical governance and accountability become second nature to those who lead. Inclusivity will guide its outreach, ensuring that leadership is diverse, representative, and accessible to all communities, irrespective of race and religion. This institute is not just about producing leaders, it is about shaping leadership itself. We have seen how poor leadership leads to instability, economic uncertainty, and public distrust. But we have also witnessed the power of visionary, ethical, and inclusive leadership in driving sustainable progress. The gap between these two realities is leadership development, and is where this institute will play a pivotal role through its research and development endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, we must create a structured pathway to develop contemporary leaders, ensuring that leadership is not just about authority, but about responsibility, vision, and impact. And now it is time for us to take this vision forward, to make contemporary leadership a reality through collective action and commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of leadership is not something we wait for. It is something I think we create together. We have defined the essence of contemporary leadership. We have recognized the agency to institutionalize its principle, and now I think it is time to act. Today marks a historic step in that journey, and I'm pleased to announce that the Leadership Institute dedicated to advancing contemporary leadership will become a reality in Sarawak. This institute will be the driving force in shaping the next generation of leaders. Leaders who are strategic in vision, trusted in governance, and inclusive in action. This effort is not one we undertake alone. Leadership development thrives on collaboration, and I'm proud to highlight the strategic partnership that have laid the foundation for this initiative. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to MASA and MyREF on the successful signing of the Memorandum of Collaboration in December the 4th, 2034. This agreement marks the first major step toward institutionalizing contemporary leadership. MASA will take the lead in spearheading the institute, while MyREF will play a pivotal role in shaping its leadership, education and training programs and research agenda. This collaboration is a testament to what can be achieved when institutions come together with a shared vision. I would like to commend MyREF for its continued commitment, Professor Abang Abdullah, to leadership excellence on the global stage. In January 2025, MyREF strengthened its international reach through a collaboration with the Markfield Institute of Higher Education in the United Kingdom. This partnership will not only elevate the standard of leadership education, but also provide a global platform for the exchange of leadership, best practices, and thought leadership. This is, I think, an important milestone that signifies Sarawak's growing role in global leadership development. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a view by Professor Joseph Stiglitz that the success of a country is not only measured by the figures in the GDP, but rather the quality of life in that country. Meaning, your GDP figures sometimes do not reflect the actual progress in the community of that particular country. It has to include from the social dimension perspective, meaning the quality of life must be upgraded, not degraded. Sometimes you have good figures in GDP growth, 5, 6%, 8%. But it doesn't reach down, trickle down to the society. And the quality of life of the society in that particular country or entity actually does not reflect the growth of that economy. I tend to agree with Joseph Stiglitz, and that is why our PCDS COVID-19 post-development strategy, we insert the importance of social inclusivity. For Sarawak, infrastructure is top priority, water supply, power supply, as well as connectivity, be it internet digital connectivity or road infrastructure. With the variety of resource in Sarawak, it must go trickle down to the society itself, particularly rural areas. Yesterday I was in Yusuf Ishaq public lecture invited by Singapore, and I shared with them. And the audience, of course, the scholars, captains of industry, say, you are so blessed because you have the resources to produce energy, not us in Singapore. But I said, resources are there, but if policies are not good, technology is not there, you just look at the resources look at you. You know, talking about hydrogen, because Sarawak is pursuing hydrogen economy, and they envy us for taking the risk of transforming our economy using hydrogen fossil fuel. I said, yes, Sarawak is blessed with that. We got a lot of water. Water contains oxygen and hydrogen. To split hydrogen, of course, at the moment is costly. Electrolyzer is costly, but the time will come. The conversion will be cheaper, just like computer. When we were in school, your server is so big, but today in your hand. Meaning advancement of technology. When that happens, Sarawak will be full of hydrogen from our water resource, including Batang Air, Murun, Valley, and so forth. And then one question was posed to me, what about drought? Then I said, God is so great. A lot of rivers in Sarawak. You got dry water, you take from the river. I mean, these are resources that you should think that will bring about change in the society. And I said, not only that we have water to take hydrogen, we have a lot of gas, methane, CH4, also a lot of hydrogen. And there is a new technology now where hydrogen mixed with carbon produce synthetic gas, synthetic methane. And now people are talking about captured carbon, CCUS. So in other words, that is the ecosystem that we have. And leadership must identify this strength and add value to it, and then that will benefit the whole society. I hope contemporary leadership in future we look into this. Whatever strength that we have, God bless with us, and command the technology itself. After all, you talk about artificial intelligence, AI. They say artificial neuro, artificial brain, and AI conversation. They started with Lambda. So I have asked Sarawakian to try and invent a new AI from Sarawak called DeepSA. If China got DeepSeek, let us Sarawak produce DeepSA. I hope Professor being engineer will help us towards that. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, the Right Honourable Premier. Kindly remain on stage. To mark the official launch of Clis 2025, we now invite our VVIP sitting at the front row seats to join our guest of honor on stage for the launching ceremony. We now invite our guest of honor, together with Prof. Datuk Abang Abdullah Abang Ali, to take their position and ready to place your palm on the plasma ball at the same time. Now get ready in 3, 2, 1. That was truly inspiring. Let's move forward with renewed enthusiasm. We now invite the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak and Professor Datuk Abang Abdullah Abang Ali to remain on stage for our next agenda. Meanwhile, we invite the rest of our VVIPs to be seated. We have come to a special moment. The presentation of memento to our guest of honor, the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, as a token of appreciation for gracing this occasion with his presence. We now invite Prof. Datuk Abang Abdullah Abang Ali to present the memento to our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause as a gesture of appreciation. Thank you, the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, Prof. Datuk Abang Abdullah Abang Ali, for this memorable moment. Ladies and gentlemen, our first keynote session will be delivered by a distinguished leader in contemporary leadership. Please welcome Dr. Basil Mustafa, former Nelson Mandela Fellow, Oxford University, UK. His keynote is titled Contemporary Leadership Way Forward. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Shall I start? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and privilege to be with you this morning. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Across the globe, public sector leaders share many of the same leadership challenges, namely leading the self, leading others, and leading the organization and adapting to the external environment. Public sector leaders require key skill sets that can be applied to addressing their challenges in a competitive organizational environment. Leadership competencies such as self-awareness, communication, resilience, negotiation, problem-solving are all measurable, learnable, and transferable skills that can be developed through training and coaching. Professor Julian Barling dedicated a chapter of his book entitled The Science of Leadership to discuss leadership interventions or programs in organizations. He responded to the critical question, can leadership be taught? And are leadership interventions effective? His unequivocal conclusion was yes, based on the results of research analyses, with interventions having moderate or strong effect on the performing of the organization. Acquiring the necessary core competencies can be enhanced through a process of learning that aligns the business requirements with values, thus encompassing values-based approach to leaders' development. This novel approach of human resource development will offer an enriched learning experience that is naturally in harmony with the stakeholders' aspirations. Let me first emphasize that leadership is not a destination. It's not something that you reach and complete, but it's a lifelong professional development process. The capacity for developing a leadership role is not the privilege of few people, but could be the choice of far many people than we realize. Leadership, ladies and gentlemen, is a relationship built on trust. Integrating work with religious principles is not uncommon among followers of major religious traditions. The Christian monastic practice of working and praying was carried out over centuries to the present day. Saint Benedict viewed prayer and work as complementary human endeavors. To him, work was a means to attain goodness in life. Martin Luther reaffirmed that a good work is when a man works at his trade and that God is well pleased with that activity. The Dalai Lama expressed a similar view regarding the intimate connection between work and daily prayer and meditation in his life. Religious saints, sages, and prophets were renowned for their work ethics, emphasizing that work and prayer are means of fulfilling their purpose in life and seeking the pleasure of God. There is a growing urgency of developing a leadership model in support of the highly complex environment facing public organizations, especially in the context of recurrent challenges such as high stakeholder demand for service quality, public services impacted by disruptive technologies today, demands of environmental sustainability, and recurring economic recessions causing markedly constrained financial resources available for public services. To maintain a high leadership standard, there is a pressing need to formulate a more creative approach to education and learning at all levels. Training of the soul is as important to achieving our development goals today as is training the mind. Today, we cannot overstate the case of an inspiring educational strategy that will place personal values and social responsibility at the heart of our professional business development and economic activity. It has been widely accepted that leader development is focused on three main areas of skill development: cognitive, socio-emotional, and behavioral. Within the category of cognitive skills, leader development seeks to enhance a leader's ability to recognize, understand, and solve problems, and to develop the capacity for critical thinking and planning. Socio-emotional or personal skills focus on a leader's ability to communicate with team members and to discern the personal dynamics of an organizational situation. Behavioral skills development influences the transformational leaders' exemplary practices based on 4 factors that are instrumental in producing positive change. You see from the slide, leaders with idealized influence exhibit adherence to a set of underlying principles and organizational values. Idealized influence encompasses modeling exemplary behaviors that raise the level of trust among group members and sustain active engagement and effective commitment to the organization, without which success will be difficult to achieve. The other factor, individualized consideration to team members, are seen as ones who pay attention to followers' individual needs for self-actualization and growth. They do so by creating learning opportunities as well as a supportive professional climate that empowers followers to take initiative and grow. Another factor without which is difficult to ensure success in an organizational setting. The third, inspirational motivation, and that involves providing meaning and encouragement to followers' work, including inculcating positive visions of the future. I think this is what the Premier was just doing in his speech. Inspirational motivation is vitally important in encouraging team members to seek higher order aims, sacrificing, if necessary, their desire to personal gains. And finally, the fourth factor is intellectual stimulation. It entails encouraging followers to question assumptions, reframe problems, and to find solutions to new challenges. New ideas and creative solutions are solicited from followers, and there is no public criticism of individuals' mistakes. Transformational leadership and authentic leadership, ladies and gentlemen, are two potent models of values-based leadership that have been underscored in the literature as being impactful on organizational performance. Authentic leaders have the clarity of purpose, the guidance of personal values, the capacity for establishing close and enduring relationships, the passion to lead by engaging the hearts of team members, and the self-discipline that will earn them the respect and trust of team members. And I agree again with the statement presented earlier that trust and trustworthiness must be earned rather than assumed by leaders. Becoming a more effective leader often requires changing behavior by adjusting underlying mindsets that lie beyond leaders' comfort zones. I had the opportunity many years ago of meeting Kunut Jair at a program in London. He was at the time the Chief Executive Officer of Norges Bank Investment Management, which managed the Sovereign Investment Fund of Norway, totaling in those days $230 billion. He was having a cup of tea in the break and picked up a cupcake which fell apart in his hands. And the crumbs scattered over the table in front of us. So I picked up another cupcake worth maybe 10 pence and offered it to him. And to my surprise, he looked like that and declined to accept it. Instead, he went on collecting the crumbs in his own hands and said, "This should not go to waste." The importance of inspiring today's leaders to emulate such values-based behavior cannot be overstated for the success of any organization or society. He demonstrated to us the values of modesty, integrity, self-assurance, and moderation. Choosing to align our personal values with organizational objectives offers a motivating source for our career progression. The inspiring educator Michelle Borba pointed that our moral intelligence can be learned, but it must be consciously modeled and nurtured to be sustained and achieved in practice. A towering and inspiring leader of the 20th century was the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was never wavered in his commitment to the values of inclusive democracy, equality, and learning. And despite terrible provocations, he had not responded to racism with intolerance. Following his release from prison in 1990, where for decades he had suffered harsh and inhumane treatment, his choice of the policy of reconciliation and negotiation helped lead the peaceful transition to multiracial democracy in South Africa. His guiding principle was, and I quote, "One country, one nation, one people, marching together into the future." Academic business schools employ case studies and role modeling in coaching leadership competencies and providing leadership education and training. Role modeling is a powerful educational tool for nurturing and inspiring values-based leadership and for the leader's development of organizational skills. Currently, authors have recognized that leadership students come from all over the world and want to see examples and names that they recognize and that have resonance with their own cultural heritage and experience. Now, the seerah of Prophet Muhammad has been a revered source of religious knowledge and moral teachings for Muslims. Our hypothesis that the seerah narratives can also be a valuable source for human resource development and learning organizational leadership competencies. Can we prove that? Can we demonstrate that? This is my next part of the lecture. The following narratives will offer some illustrations from the seerah that are relevant to the advancement of values-based organizational leadership and can be used for education, training. Values such as human dignity, honesty, altruism, benevolence, and compassion were celebrated by Muhammad with a public endorsement. So it wasn't just celebrated personally, but he tried to inspire his followers and the society at large and humanity beyond that to look forward and emulate those values. So he endorsed those values publicly with his exemplary actions as a leader. He not only preached the values or the virtues of these values, but he put them into practice. He walked the talk as an authentic leader. One story is when gold lost its temptation. It's about inspiring integrity and trust. Gold has always had an enchanting influence on mankind. One might even describe its attraction as magical. However, a prophetic tradition recorded the story of two individual role models for whom gold did not exercise such captivating temptation. And the tradition is as follows. A man bought a piece of land from another man, and the buyer found a clay jar filled with gold buried in the land. The buyer said to the seller, "Take your gold, I have bought only the land from you, but not the gold treasure." The owner of the land, the previous owner of the land, said, "I have sold you the land with everything in it." So both took their case for arbitration, and the mediator asked, after listening to the case, "Do you have any children?" One of them said, "I have a boy." The other said, "I have a girl." And the arbitrator advised them, marry the girl to the boy and spend the money on both of them and give some in charity. What does the story tell us? The story describes a disagreement, the nature of which runs contrary to human experience today. It's a masterclass in leadership coaching, where organizational leaders are motivated by the narrative's role models to practice the values of integrity and honesty. It was the spirit of Iman and the pursuit of its moral code that had inspired their ethical response. The story also promotes a mutual gains approach to managing competing claims. Embracing a win-win approach advances collaboration between the parties and encourages a healthy working relationship within an organizational context. Altruism, another value. Inspiring a motivating vision of a purposeful life requires exemplary practices that embrace the aims of compassion and generosity. Prophet Muhammad exemplified the virtues of generosity and altruism as part of his tradition. A sheep was slaughtered and major portions of its meat were distributed out. When Prophet came back home, he asked how much was left of the sheep. His wife replied, nothing remained except the shoulder. We kept the shoulder. Thereupon, he explained to her and to his followers and to the whole world, to humanity. He said, the whole of it has remained to us except the shoulders. The whole of it has remained to us that we have given out except the shoulder, denoting the lasting heavenly reward of the virtues of generosity and altruism, hence encouraging the spirit of giving and sharing as opposed to keeping and hoarding. The essence of idealized influence rests on the transformational leader's ability to motivate group members to accomplish the goals of unity, empowerment, and service. Unity, empowerment, and service. Idealized influence, which is the second component of a transformational leader, encompasses modeling exemplary practices, such as aligning values with actions, fostering collaboration between team members, recognizing and celebrating members' contributions, and inspiring an exciting future with shared aspirations. As such, it builds momentum for hard work, resolute sacrifices for organizational goals, and a sense of effective commitment to the organizational purposes. The transformational leader supports the efforts of his team members by giving them individual attention and appreciation, empowering them to take initiative, and encouraging them to respond with autonomy to challenges that match their interests and expertise. When the followers lack that expertise essential for the task, the leader will step in to provide feedback, coaching, and mentoring assistance. There is a growing body of scholarship suggesting that individualized consideration motivates employees by nurturing self-esteem and sustaining their confidence to tackle challenges. The research by Moynihan and his team established that transformational leadership has a positive direct effect on public service motivation, which matters to a great variety of employee behaviors and actions, leading to improved levels of services and organizational outcomes, such as lower turnover rates, employee satisfaction, and higher level of productivity and service excellence. Muhammad was known for his leadership traits even before the start of his prophethood. He was renowned for showing concern for humans in need and for his benevolent support of those who have fallen into hardship. His mission reinforced his personal commitment to identify the proficiencies and needs of his followers, which enabled him to inspire them into productive actions. He used prayers to empower his followers and his companions. Just imagine the impact of his supplication for Muawiyah, whom he had spotted as a talented young man, saying, "O Allah, teach Muawiyah the book and numeracy and protect him from retribution." His concern for them extended beyond their spiritual welfare to include their material and mental well-being, thus safeguarding the welfare of women, men, and children. Muhammad's counsel concerning social care issues was instrumental in sustaining family life and social harmony. Strengthening the social fabric based on shared values was one of his primary aims. He was aware of the need to provide protection to the socially vulnerable individuals, such as widows, young children, and orphans. He offered spiritual incentives to the guardians and the champions of social support. He said, "I and the person who looks after an orphan and provides for him will be in paradise like this," putting his index and middle fingers together. Prophet Muhammad also underlined the significant reward of paradise for whoever provides livelihood for 3 girls, equally true for 2 or 1, educates them, be merciful towards them, and show kindness to them. The other component of transformational leadership is inspirational motivation. In fact, it is so important to organizational success that Professor Rosabeth Moskanter used it to define the art of leadership. She said, "The art of leadership is to inspire action and guide people in productive directions." Transformational leaders use their inspirational motivation to heighten the will and enthusiasm of their followers. An important aspect of inspirational motivation is the leader's ability to recognize and incentivize talent and excellence. By doing so, the transformational leader will highlight role models like beacons who would become a source of encouragement to the group and will stimulate positive action. Muhammad was well pleased with how one of his companions, Al-Ashaj Abdul, conducted himself in public at their first meeting. He was therefore invited to sit next to the Prophet and was complimented with the words, I quote, "Indeed, there are 2 traits in you that Allah loves, forbearance and thoughtfulness or deliberation." You don't rush things. You take your time. Forbearance and thoughtfulness or deliberation. That was the leaders, that was Muhammad's public commendation of 2 traits that he desired his followers to emulate. The followers of Muhammad were young masters in their own discipline, and there was no shortage of talent in their ranks. Muhammad's task was to recognize and encourage his followers to realize their potential. Digging a moat to protect Medina from an invading army was the novel idea of Salman. The geography of Medina was well suited to the implementation of such a defense strategy. Muhammad himself shared in the digging of the moat. He worked with an axe and shovel, digging and then carrying the soil away while joining others, chanting suitable rhymes to keep high the team spirit and morale. A public recognition of Salman's role was evident when the immigrants and the helpers were keen to claim him to themselves. So the immigrants called Salman is one of us, while the helpers were saying Salman is one of us. Now the Prophet, peace be upon him, interjected at that moment. And he said, and he was quick to announce, that Salman is a member of my household. That was a form of inspirational recognition of Salman's role that many would have hoped to be granted at that time. So he was quick to acknowledge and recognize the contribution of Salman's ideas and good work. The fourth and last component of transformational leadership is intellectual stimulation. The leader doesn't provide all the answers, even if it is known to him. Because the point is to bring his followers up and enable them, empower them to think for themselves. The leader's role is to encourage members of the group to think for themselves and empower them to take a leading role with confidence. In a similar but rather more direct illustration of the leader's ability to motivate his followers to think independently was that encounter between the Prophet and his companion Mu'adh ibn Jabal. He selected Mu'adh to be his emissary to Yemen, and Mu'adh was informed of this important role, but at the same time, he was intellectually tested. How will you make a judgment or settle a dispute? Asked the Prophet. When Mu'adh gave his answer, the second question immediately followed. What will you do if you do not find the decree in the text of the Quran? Mu'adh gave his answer. The second question came through. What will you do if you don't find anything in the Quran? Then Mu'adh answered, and then the Prophet challenged him even a step further, saying, what will you do if you could not find a reference to that in my tradition? And Mu'adh gave his third answer, and then Prophet encouraged him by commending his creative thinking. Muhammad's approach in this instant was not instructive. We all recognize that he could have said to Mu'adh, do 1, do 2, do 3. But he asked, what would you do in 1, in 2, in 3, enabling him to come up with his own answers. So Muhammad's approach in this instance was not instructive, but rather inquiring, illustrating the leader's role in making others think about new ways to perform the task and empowering them to be creative in their own problem-solving methods. In conclusion, the transformational leadership concepts have been associated with improved performance in public sector organizations. Researchers, in their study of modern leadership principles for public administration, have called for the inclusion of the transformational leadership context and values-based leadership principles in the development of a new public leadership theory. This is based on empirical evidence that is all available in the literature for those of you who may be interested. And these are the reasons they found, or they quoted, why it acts like that. It clarifies purposes and values of the organization, which is an important part for keeping the direction and the focus in mind of all the group or team members, the people working. And it creates an organizational culture where values are consistently practiced from the top man to the managers, to the others. And that creates an organizational culture of values-based leadership. It embraces change, encourages critical thinking, problem solving, and gives confidence to the employees that they will not be reprimanded or punished or blamed for any mistakes that may happen. And finally, by sharing successes and acknowledging good contribution and the excellence of work, it motivates and empowers the workforce. And that is an important part for the achievement of organizational goals and objectives. The Sira narratives provide useful material for the development of a wide range of early career professionals, as well as those who aspire to a leadership role in the public sector. It is intended to illustrate the quality of a wide range of team building and leadership competencies based on exemplary practices of a role model with proven success. Prophet Muhammad's transformational model provides an effective path to learning how to lead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kindly remain on stage, Dr. Basil. We now invite Associate Professor Dr. Dayang Afizah binti Awang Marikan, Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business at University of Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS, on stage to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Basil Mustafa. Once again, thank you so much to Dr. Basil Mustafa. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our second keynote session, featuring a prominent thought leader in science, technology, and innovation, STI. It is an honor to invite Yang Mulia Academician Datuk Dr. Tengku Muhammad Azman Sharifuddin, Fellow of the Academy of Science Malaysia, President of the Academy of Science Malaysia and Science, Technology and Innovation, Advisor to the Prime Minister. He will present his insights on thought leadership in science, technology and innovation. Please welcome him on stage.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Salam sejahtera. Good afternoon to all. Yang berbahagia Emeritus Professor Datuk Engineer Abang Abang Ali, Chairman of Malaysian Research and Education Foundation, esteemed speakers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm greatly honored and privileged to deliver this keynote speech on leadership development in science, technology, and innovation at this Contemporary Leadership International Summit 2025. I thank MyREF for inviting me. The question of leadership development in contemporary times is indeed a timely and critical subject. The world is going through transformative change, and we are not exempted. All of us present today are capable of leading and should participate in leadership development. In today's rapidly evolving world, shaped by emerging and disruptive technologies, science, apologies, let me move, I'm going to start again. Just 4 months ago, I have to thank Sarawak for this, ASM organized the second International Conference on Tropical Sciences right here in Kuching on the theme of harmonizing humanity with nature. The conference drew attention to the tropics, which will soon become home to most of humanity, but also with its huge forests and rich biodiversity, become the lungs of the planet. I thank the Sarawak government for the strong support to make the conference a resounding success. The conference produced the Kuching Declaration, which calls for the establishment of a global alliance of the tropics, which we are actively working on right now. I'm delighted that the topic of today's conference strongly resonates with what we do in ASM. Science, technology, and innovation is strongly linked with sustainable economic growth and development, such that we now speak about STIE. In so doing, we're expanding the STI agenda to meet social and economic goals of making Malaysia a progressive, harmonious, prosperous, and sustainable nation. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's rapidly evolving world, shaped by emerging and disruptive technologies, STIE serves as a crucial foundation for the nation's development and global competitiveness. Let us first look at where Malaysia is in STIE. Our progress across 4 key pillars, economic, societal, environmental, and STIE ecosystem over the period 2010 to 2019 was severely unbalanced. While economic growth improved, societal well-being and environmental sustainability deteriorated. More significantly, for our topic today, the STIE ecosystem remained stagnant. Malaysia can only break free from the middle income trap by creating more value, which entails the establishment of a strong STIE ecosystem. Malaysia has made significant progress in innovation ranking over the last 67 years. Globally, we rank 33rd out of 133 countries in the Global Innovation Index 2024, showing that at the surface level, our ecosystem seems competitive. But another picture emerges when we deep dive into our research to innovation record, as shown below the surface. While we have produced over 500,000 publications since 1996, much of this knowledge has not been translated into innovative products or services. Clearly, this ranking is driven largely by our export of high-tech goods produced by our E&E sector, which is dominated by foreign MNCs rather than local entities deploying indigenous knowledge or talent. Our competitiveness relies heavily on capital investment and infrastructure. To advance further, we must enhance our innovation capacity and harness our knowledge, talent, and skills in developing homegrown, high-value products by design. Ladies and gentlemen, what are the key gaps and challenges that are holding us back? First, low innovation despite good research output. 87.5% of researchers are concentrated in the public sector, unlike developed countries such as South Korea and Japan, where over 50% are in the industrial sector. This imbalance has created an innovation chasm, hindering the commercialization of local R&D. Second, low investment by industry in research and development. R&D allocation contributed by the private sector is low, 34.2% in 2020, compared with innovative countries such as Korea, where the major funding comes from the corporate sector at about maybe 70%. National GERD for Malaysia is low at 1% and is highly dependent on the government at almost 70%. Third, the STIE ecosystem is not yet fully functional. Malaysia's STIE ecosystem and governance framework are complex, spanning both federal and state governments. The national policy on STI, developed by ASM a few years ago, outlines a structured STIE governance framework that is more conducive and effective. However, to date, its full implementation remains a challenge. Stronger collaboration and trust is essential to drive a unified national STIE agenda effectively, though through mission-oriented initiatives that will address the nation's urgent needs. Further aggravating these challenges, we are confronting a turbulent transitional period of post-normal times. Navigating complexity, uncertainty, and contradictions requires fundamental shift in mindset and practices among key stakeholders. Now more than ever, science and technology must be harnessed to build value-creating solutions that benefit both society and economy. In meeting these challenges coming from multiple fronts, social, economic, environmental, and geopolitical, there is tremendous pressure to come up with quick fixes in the form of technocentric solutions. However, it may be better to consider human-centric solutions that are more sensitive and receptive to human behavior, thereby enhancing adoption. Better still, humanity-centric approaches give greater respect to people and values, and at the same time enable proper care of planetary health. These broader approaches to innovation naturally lead towards the embedding of social responsibility through whole of government and whole of society governance frameworks. The turbulent and rapid changes just described indicate that transformative leadership in STIE has become the top agenda for the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, ASM has expanded its role from being a think tank to take on the more action-oriented role of change maker. Let me try to explain. As a think tank, we provide thought leadership in delivering strategic guidance through policy development and strategy formulation at various levels within the public sector and to some extent the private sector and civil society. Despite early successes, we observe a strategic gap that needs to be bridged. Implementing agencies and organizations were observed to face myriad difficulties in putting into action the clearly laid out strategies and plans. This seemed to stem from several factors encompassing incumbent governance structures, administrative arrangements, rules and regulations, and onto processes and procedures. However, all of these constraints would be more manageable if we could address the main challenge, which is mindsets, attitudes, and mental models of the people concerned. Let me share the following story about our journey towards establishing a fully functioning set of national and regional innovation ecosystems where mindset change is a major objective of this effort. In delivering the role as a thought leader, we have undertaken 94 flagship and niche studies, as well as 38 commission studies and projects involving various entities encompassing government, ministries, agencies, national and international councils, world academies of science, and international organizations. Worth noting is that 80% of our recommendations are taken up. We led collaborative studies to develop national policy and strategy papers. One such initiative is the formulation of the DSTIN 2021 to 2030 I mentioned earlier, a pivotal study paper that addresses critical challenges in strengthening the national SDIE ecosystem sorry, and in driving, excuse me, I'm still recovering from an infection through traveling abroad a few days ago. Excuse me. We led collaborative studies to develop national policy and strategy papers, of which one such initiative is the formulation of the DSTIN 2021 to 2030 mentioned earlier, which is a pivotal paper that addresses critical challenges in strengthening the national SDIE ecosystem to drive the country's innovation agenda. We also developed the National Planetary Health Action Plan. It is a pioneering effort that is attracting interest among global planetary health proponents. NPHAP is an SDIE-driven integrated plan to embed planetary health into national policies through whole-of-nation approach, reflecting Malaysia's commitment to human health that simultaneously supports and protects planetary health. Another key initiative is the National Research, Development, Innovation, Commercialization and Economy Roadmap, we call it RDICE, which aims to drive homegrown technology and product development, nurture talent, and accelerate industry growth by leveraging knowledge in science, technology, the arts, and humanities. Internationally, we collaborate with the ASEAN Committee on Science, Technology, and Innovation, COSTI, to develop the ASEAN Ahead, ASEAN SDI Ecosystem Foresight 2035 and beyond, that envisions ASEAN as a global powerhouse by 2035, driven by SDI-enabled resilience, a values-driven ethos, and collective prosperity. We have also been actively involved in advocating SDIE through commission studies and strategic inputs to related national level councils and high-level meetings. In 2024, 8 presentations were made to National Council, drawing from 11 strategic papers from our studies, indicating the cross-cutting nature and importance of SDIE. Since 2023, we have actively engaged with various states to strengthen regional ecosystems for collaboration and address local issues, including Sarawak, of course. These engagements open direct communication channels with stakeholders, providing insights into their needs, challenges, and opportunities. There is no one size that fits all. Each region needs solutions that truly respond to their unique priorities and needs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me return to the question of why we were compelled to bridge the gap between policy and strategy development and its implementation, thereby expanding our role to becoming a change maker. We observed that stakeholders increasingly sought guidance on how to do the how. Let me repeat that, how to do the how. That is to provide best practices in structures and processes for effective implementation. One example is AM's appointment as the implementing agency for the Malaysia Science Endowment, MSc, upon its establishment in 2023. This endowment serves as an alternative funding source for research, development, commercialization, and innovation activities. We saw earlier that our funding for research is very, very low. To date, MSE has secured 7 bilateral collaborations, 1 multilateral one, and 1 industry partnership, with matching grants totaling more than 46 million. Our understanding of the STIE process flow, the unique needs for successful R&D collaboration and partnership, and our global network of contacts and potential contributors, for example, were seen as factors of success to initiate the project. An even more significant contribution towards enhancing the STIE ecosystem is a recent intervention at the National Science Council. Following several high-level presentations on the urgent need to transform the national STIE ecosystem, we were privileged to propose a governance framework to empower the National Science Council itself, which was well received. Key features of this structure are the holistic approach in addressing national challenges, an integrated process to formulate mission-oriented inclusive R&D programs, and consolidated program funding from multiple sectors, including public, private, and community. The government has begun the process to strengthen the system based on this proposal. Despite these successes, implementation remains a bottleneck, with many actions delayed or unexecuted. Stakeholders often struggle with execution and often turn to us for guidance on how to do the how. Seemingly, some stakeholders are forced to take action only for the sake of execution visibility, without proper understanding or strategic alignment with intended outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, given the implementation challenges mentioned, leadership development is urgently needed and remains a work in progress. Nurturing a career of proactive and future-proof leadership requires a shift from conventional thinking and practices to transformative approaches, which emphasize the critical role of advancing STIE to drive purposeful change and national progress. Leadership must evolve from traditional hierarchical linear models to a dynamic future-oriented approach that fosters creativity, collaboration, and systemic change. The most important factor in leadership development is changing mindsets. Allow me to touch briefly on the history of excuse me. Allow me to touch briefly on the history of STIE to provide some context. 2 centuries ago, the Industrial Revolution arose in the Western world, which was widely adopted across the globe. It was widely successful in bringing cheap factory-produced goods within reach of the masses, lifting many from poverty and hardship. We too adopted the industrial model of production. Apart from electronics, electrical, and automotive industries, we have also adopted the same model in the oil palm industry. Yet this model is known to cause many problems in society, economy, and now in sustainability. The world has moved on to the knowledge model without abandoning the key role of industrial production. The difference is that now even manufacturing has become knowledge-based, and new sectors are emerging that are entirely knowledge industries. This transition from the industrial economic model to the knowledge model is a paradigm shift, already mentioned by the Premier earlier, the idea made famous by Thomas Kuhn. The entrenched reliance on the past on infrastructure-driven development, which is largely value extraction, has sidelined knowledge-based value creation. Let me repeat. We have been doing a lot of value extraction, but not enough value creation. Leaders across the public sector, private sector, scientific community, and society must shift from value extraction to value creation. by integrating SDI into national development planning and execution. Leadership in this context requires the ability to discern signals amid noise, a lot of noise, identifying emerging opportunities, and express yet implied ideas, unexpressed yet implied ideas that can shape innovation. This involves high degree of pattern recognition, connecting fragmented insights, and building shared mental models that may drive meaningful change. Moreover, leadership must focus on stakeholder engagement, ensuring that each sector actively contributes to a unified innovation ecosystem rather than operating in silos. The current challenge is not the lack of knowledge or capability, but rather the absence of integration and ownership among key players. As we navigate a post-normal world where established norms are increasingly becoming obsolete, leaders must denormalize outdated ideas and practices and renormalize on those that promote progressive strategies. This demands bold decision-making, resilience in the face of uncertainty, and a commitment to long-term transformation. Ultimately, the responsibility lies with each of us. The urgency to act is clear. Leadership must embrace innovation, drive systemic change, and position Malaysia as a true knowledge-driven economy and society. Ladies and gentlemen, what does proactive and future-proof leadership in STI look like? Let me quote from a well-known consulting firm on leadership. I quote, "Leadership is a set of mindsets and behaviors that aligns people in a collective direction, enables them to work together and accomplish shared goals, and helps them to adjust to changing environments." As a set of mindsets and behaviors, the purpose of leadership, therefore, is to facilitate and enable people to gain alignment, working together to achieve common goals while adjusting to the changing environment. It is not about position or job function in a hierarchy of command and control structures. Some leaders have no formal position or authority, while others have titles and job scopes. Yet both kinds of leaders choose to distribute their role and power to the people working with them, sharing the responsibility through trust and commitment. Future-proof leadership in SDIE thus demands a shift from traditional hierarchical models to agile, human-centered, network-enabled, decentralized models. Leadership that is not defined by position or authority will work through actions based on behaviors and mindsets that align direction, empower others, and drive strategic renewal. In the context of post-normal times and disruptive change, leaders must unlearn rigid management styles and embrace adaptive, service-oriented leadership. This means fostering psychological safety, collaboration, and innovation, while integrating digital transformation and systems thinking. Self-awareness, empathy, and integrity are critical, as leadership is a skill that can be developed and is not necessarily an innate trait. A network-based leadership model where individuals self-manage within decentralized systems while staying strategically aligned ensures resilience and responsiveness in an evolving SDIE landscape. By prioritizing collective intelligence, interdisciplinary collaboration, and stakeholder engagement, leaders can position Malaysia at the forefront of global innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, the transformation of leadership is no longer an option, but a necessity for Malaysia to become an innovation nation. As we navigate a rapidly changing and complex world, leadership must evolve beyond traditional deterministic and mechanical models to embrace people-centered, adaptive, network-driven, and impact-focused approaches. This requires leaders to are proactive, future-proof, and capable of integrating SDIE into national policies, plans, and roadmaps to enable Malaysia to become the desired innovation nation. In ending this talk, let me offer the following key takeaways. We urgently need to embrace the knowledge-based economy in society as the next phase of our journey towards greater progress. This implies elevating the importance of developing scientific knowledge and its wide application to achieve desired social and economic goals. Second, innovation ecosystems need to be developed across the country to integrate value creation efforts and facilitate collaboration and partnerships. Third, the complexities and uncertainties of the post-normal era demand that proactive, dynamic, and agile systems of governance are developed and adopted to enable wide-scale collaboration to flourish and grow. A cadre of leaders need to be nurtured to address challenges of development in the face of an uncertain and turbulent world. Leadership can be learned if we are open to new ideas. Change our mindsets, attitudes, and behaviors. All of us are potential leaders. Finally, establishing thriving innovation ecosystems across the nation is still a work in progress. We do not claim to see ourselves as the only important change maker in SDIE. Rather, we would like to empower others to join us in this journey, making change together for the common good. This has been our agenda for the last few years. Come and join us. Welcome on board. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Yang Mulia, Datuk Dr. Tunku Muhammad Azman, for your invaluable insights. Now kindly remain on stage. And ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to open the floor for those who have any question. So we will open the floor for 3 to 5 questions from the attendees. If you have any question, please raise your hand. We will have someone on the floor to pass you the microphone. So if you have any question, kindly raise your hand.
Look,
So if no one has a question, we will proceed with the souvenir presentation, a token of appreciation. We now invite Associate Professor Dr. Dayang Afrizah binti Awang Marikan once again to come on stage to present the token of appreciation to Datuk Dr. Tunku Muhammad Azman on stage. We thank you once again to Datuk Dr. Tunku Muhammad Azman for your insightful sharing and wisdom. And before we proceed with our lunch break, we once again would like to invite Dr. Basil to come on stage for a Q&A session. So anyone who have question, you may direct your question to Dr. Basil Mustafa. We once again would like to invite Dr. Basil to come on stage. Thank you. Please. So we will now give 3 to 5 questions max. Anyone have question about the topic that has been shared by Dr. Basil Mustafa earlier? Can you please raise a hand and we will deliver the microphone to you. All right, we have one over there. Hang on.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Jaluddin Salawusi Yusuf. I'm Imam of Masjid Tonson for 100 years and Vice President of the RISEP. I would like to ask your opinion on the now issue of the leadership in the world of the day, from Mr. Trump to Mr. Putin and Mr. Xi Jinping in China. What is the suitable leadership for nowadays? Because you said your presentation on the leadership, inquiries, spiritual, and dealing with that moral society. Thank you.
Dr. Basil?
You reminded me of something really happened. I was in a conference about 2 years ago, and I gave my speech on values-based leadership. And then a prominent, distinguished guest came to me and said, "What is your work on, academic work?" I said, "My main focus is on values-based leadership and how that can be implemented in an organizational context." And he said to me, "But is there such a thing as values-based leadership?" To him, values is in one sphere of life, and leadership, political leadership, is in another sphere of life. And you can't bring the two together. And unfortunately, this is the reality of the world we live in today. But it is not the reality of a perfect world. This is why we, in my view at least, we are experiencing, the world at large and human societies at large are experiencing so much turmoil and disruption in all fields, social, economic, and political, unfortunately. Just as a reminder, you all, or some of you might have known about the Enron scandal. Enron was a gas and oil energy conglomerate in the United States. It was one of the biggest in the world. It filed for bankruptcy in 2001. And it was a huge collapse. 25,000 employees were dismissed. The company was liquidated. And it is mentioned in literature and in books. The chief executive, Jeff Skilling, which led the company to that disaster, he was an MBA student at Harvard Business School. And one of his class colleagues says that his motto, Jeff Skilling's motto when he was a student, an MBA student at Harvard Business School, was that the chief executive of every company should circumvent the law to produce a shareholder profit, basically. This is how he felt the world should be run, that all chief executives should try and find loopholes in order to raise the shareholder value of that company. Now, if you have leaders who think like this, obviously they will shape the world according to their vision. He illegally used the company's pension fund. It doesn't belong to him. It doesn't belong to the board of the company. This belonged to the employees of the company. He used it illegally to raise the share value of Enron. And when this was discovered, of course, the whole process of collapse started. So there are many institutions, both public and private corporations, that are run with this focus in mind: shareholder value and shareholder fund, and they lead to human, social, and political disasters, unfortunately, that we all suffer from in these days. So it is important to talk about values-based leadership, both in the corporate sector and in the public sector, and try and see how we can bring in the two together for the betterment and advancement of humanity at large. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And the examples you've mentioned is just but one part of the unfortunate reality that we live in nowadays. But there are also, by the way, there are also some good examples, some role models. I've seen at least 2 corporate entities in Malaysia that have values at the top of their agenda, corporate agenda and corporate strategy, basically. So their business plan incorporates values, both social values, environmental values, and human values in their corporate plan, in their strategic corporate plan. So there are some examples. I saw also one company in Saudi Arabia as well. So there are some models to look forward to, but we need to increase that, develop it, and enhance it. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Once again, we thank you so much to Dr. Basil Mustafa for the insightful and very meaningful sharing with us on stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now break for lunch. Please enjoy your meal, and we will resume our session at 2 p.m. And to all the attendees, please kindly check your coupon, as you may use your coupon to redeem for meal. And for those attendees who have not received your coupon, kindly proceed to the registration counter. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we will reconvene at 2 p.m. Thank you, and I look forward to see you again later.